All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rachaha, Kodash. I want to give double honors to Ed Apostle, that is a great millstone who rule well and teach well. Peace and blessings to you, sincere Akim, that are pushing this truth all over the four corners of the earth, week in and week out, in all truth and sincerity, and Shalom to the elect. This is the brother Mattathiah from the GMS Virginia camp coming to you through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai. Yahweh being a true, holy, powerful name of the Heavenly Father. Yahweh Shai being a true, holy, powerful name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus in Christ. Bahashim is in the name, and Lord willing, this will be an edifying lesson. And I want to touch on this article entitled LDF Condemns Dangerous Executive Order Expanding Law Enforcement Powers and Targeting Equity. And this is concerning President Donald Trump's seeking to militarize police task force all over Babylon the Great. It says yesterday, President Trump issued an executive order that, without cause or justification, aims to expand aggressive law enforcement practices that will increase criminalization, funnel federal resources, including military and national security assets, to local law enforcement agencies. And what do you think those military and national security assets consist of? Okay, it's not only, military weapons, military vehicles, it's also various different technologies. Okay, drones, robots. You already have seen China and Thailand unveil their police robots. Okay, well, that's going to be part of that military and national security assets that are given to these various different police task force. It says bolster already expansive protections for law enforcement officers. Donald Trump is trying to give more liberty to these people in the police task force as well. It says, and threaten prosecution of state and local officials who promote more equitable law enforcement and foster inclusive environments, including in Black communities that have borne the brunt of police abuses and misconduct. So Donald Trump's trying to give more liberties to these police officers to be able to do more, to be able to be more hands-on, more direct, right? It says, in response to Executive Order, Legal Defense Fund Director of Strategic Initiatives, Jin Hee Lee, issued the following statement, quote, yesterday's executive order is an alarming and unprecedented attempt to expand failed and ineffective law enforcement strategies that prioritize aggression and militarize force over research-backed public safety measures. The order implemented risk producing unsafe and alienated communities and widespread suppression of the right to protest. While the Trump administration seeks to drastically reduce federal support for vital programs, including in K-12 and in higher education institutions, this order marshals federal resources to increase criminalization, lengthen incarceration, and shield officers from accountability. All right. So they're setting up various different things. So, you're not even going to want to go out there and protest. Esau's setting up very different strategies. So, if you're out there protesting, at the end of the day, they can take all y'all to jail, and they don't have to use humans to do so. They can send in their robots to detain and throw you on a bus. And, concerning these deportations, which I have a video that I wanted to play. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to play it or not. Concerning these so-called illegal immigrant deportations, it's coming out that citizens, U.S. citizens, are being detained and deported with proper documentation, been a citizen, in America their whole life, but ICE is detaining these individuals and deporting them to who knows where. Okay. It says the aim of this order is not to keep people safe, but instead to create a climate of fear and intimidation, especially among those with uh, dissenting views who stand in the way of the administration's dangerous and anti-democratic agenda. Well, we all know these wicked elites' agenda is, their ultimate agenda is new world order, and these various different things are put in place, to cause a destabilization, a destability of this present system to bring about a new system. Okay, let's read this paragraph as well. It says, through this executive order, the Trump administration has disavowed any comment to a public safety system that holds law enforcement officers accountable for misconduct and keeps communities safe through sustainable and meaningful investments. And these devils are not worried about keeping communities safe. All right, and really it's the opposite. They have come together in secret councils to put various different things amongst the communities where you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans dwell to keep it unsafe, to keep drugs, to keep gangs, all right, to keep various different things, pollutants, etc., amongst you. You know, it says, what was that? Okay, it says safe through sustainable and meaningful investments that will ensure real public safety. Esau Edom is the opposite of public safety. Instead, the order uses the influence, assets, and funds of the federal government to militarize law enforcement and encourage aggressive enforcement of all crimes. Let's read that again. And encourage aggressive enforcement of all crimes. So not just major crimes. It says all crimes, from something minute, right? It says no matter how minor. Okay. See if I can even highlight that. All right. It says encourage aggressive enforcement of all crimes, no matter how minor. So we see where this is heading. We see where this was going. Okay. And this is all a build up, a lead up to prophecy, right? Okay. Let's get 2 Ezra the 15th chapter real quick. This is 2 Ezra 15:1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people, and who are the Lord's people? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the 12 tribes of Israel. You are the biblical Israelites. It says the words of prophecy. So we're out there speaking the words of prophecy. We're telling you what's about to happen before it takes place. We're giving you the warning. We're telling you to repent and get right before it's too late. Okay. It says, which I will put in thy mouth. So the Lord put these words in our mouth. This is not of us. Okay. This is the way that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is speaking unto you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans through his prophets, through his men that he has set all over the four corners of the earth. It says, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Yeah, this book, this Bible that we have, this is faithful and true, which the majority of our people do not understand this Bible. They don't understand the scriptures. They don't understand the prophecies, because it is what? It is a parabolic secret code book that you can't understand. You have to be taught this word, this wisdom. Moreover, the Lord has to open up your eyes for you to be able to receive it. Let's read this next paragraph. It says, it further threatens state and local officials with criminal prosecution for simply taking seriously their duty to ensure equal justice and opportunity for all. Esau was never about opportunity for all. Esau was never about equal justice. Okay, he just made it seem that way. That's why he gave you the government and Democratic and Republican, so you can feel like you have a hand in the matter, right? It says these actions amount to the creation of a police state that would undermine the foundations of our multiracial democracy. Okay, and this is coming after the DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, these various different jobs. Hey, they don't have to go by previous guidelines. If they don't like the way you look, they don't like the way you talk, they don't like the way you dress, they ain't gotta hire your ass, man. Okay? Furthermore, they can select who they want to give service to concerning these businesses and these restaurants. You know, if they don't want to serve you so-called blacks, you so-called Mexicans, guess what? They can do that now. You know, and vice versa. Let's go to the book of Isaiah 42:9. It says, "Behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them." And, you know, the warning has gone out. This word has traveled the globe. You know, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, we are giving warning unto you Israelites. We're telling you this devil is about to come down hard on you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. But Jake's still playing games. He still thinks everything's a joke. All right. He thinks Esau's bluffing. Hey, Esau ain't bluffing. Okay. Let's go over to Jeremiah the 30th chapter. And let's go down to verse 7. It says, "Alas, for the day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble." And this is trouble for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And these are the times that we're entering into. "But he shall be saved out of it." And, you know, our people are like, "Well, it ain't going to be that bad. It's not going to be." And you know, you got a lot of, you know, Jakes that know that they're Israelites looking at Jacob's trouble like it's not going to be as bad as, you know, Great Millstone portrays it to be. Okay. It's just going to be a light affliction. No, not at all. Okay. Let's go to Daniel the 12th chapter. This is going to be a very, very harsh time. This is Daniel 12:1. It says, "And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which shall standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble." See, this trouble is going to be so bad that, you know, the Most High Yahweh is going to send, you know, the archangel, you know, Michael the angel to, you know, intervene. Okay. It says, "And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation." Okay. Even to that same time. So this time of trouble is going to be the pinnacle of all troubles that have happened on the earth for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. It says, "And at that time thy people shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book." Okay, so only the elect of the nation of Israel is going to be delivered through those times. Okay, ultimately the elect of the nation of Israel are the only ones that are going to be saved on this side. Now, eventually, all of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans will receive salvation, but 2/3 of the nation of Israel has to die on this side. Okay, the majority of our people are not going to make it, and they will come into the kingdom through the loins of the elect. Okay, it says, it says, "And everyone that shall be found written in the book." And, you know, we hope and pray that our names are written in that book. We hope and pray that we're part of the elect number. We can be saved, be beamed up into those ships. Okay. Let's go down a little bit more in this article and see. Okay, I think that's the end. But let's read this last quote. It says, "This order is an unabashed abuse of federal executive authority. We condemn it unequivocally." You know, so even even Esau's mad. Even Esau objects to these various different executive orders that Trump's signing and put into effect. Okay, and you know, we're seeing this stability of the people here in Babylon the Great. People are angry, they're mad. You know, they're not happy with the various different things that Trump's doing concerning tariffs, concerning executive orders. All right, the job crisis, the prices of things going up, the job, you know, the lack of jobs. Right, you know, people are mad. People are hitting the streets to protest. Well, various different things, various different laws are being set up to prevent you from protesting, where you can be detained, you know, where you can be fined, and ultimately they're setting up a police task force system to give them more liberties to be more aggressive. Okay, so we see where this thing's heading. Let's go to matter of fact, let's do this. Let's go to the book of Isaiah the 10th chapter. And let's go down to the 5th verse. It says, O Assyrian, a rod in mine anger, and the staff in their hand is mine indignation. And Esau Edom is the modern day Assyrian. It says, and I will send him against a hypocritical nation. That hypocritical nation is you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay? You're supposed to be separate from these other nations. You know, you're supposed to be different. You're not supposed to want to be like these other nations, nor want to serve their gods. But Jake has gone whoring after these other nations' philosophies, doctrines, and idols. It says, I will send him against a hypocritical nation, against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge. So the Lord has given Esau Edom a green light on you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, at least a certain percentage. It says to take the spoil and to take the prey and to tread them down like the mire of the streets. So these are the times we're entering into, man. Esau's about to get busy, and he's it's ultimately the Most High Yahweh that's doing this. This is ultimately the work of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Okay, let's jump up to the first verse. This is Isaiah 10:1. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. And this is why these people are angry with these unrighteous decrees, which this ultimately is going towards Esau's plan, his agenda, his New World Order program. Every day Esau is trying to get a step closer to that New World Order completion, which we know he's not going to be able to fully complete it, but he's going to get very, very deep into his plans, right? Let's go over to the book of Psalms chapter 10, and let's start from the top. It says, why standest thou far off, O Lord? Why hidest thyself in the times of trouble? The wicked in his pride that persecute the poor, let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. Because it seems like, the Lord's not doing nothing. Hey, man, all this has happened. Our enemies are getting, the best of us. But ultimately, this is, the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. He set it up and designed it this way. Okay, and a lot of our people can't understand that. They can't understand that the Most High Yahweh controls good and evil. All right? He's the one that killeth and maketh alive. He controls all things. A man's comings and goings are of the Lord. And that's a stumbling block to a lot of our people. The Lord, the God can't possibly control evil. That's nothing but Satan. They don't understand that the spiritual demon Satan is set up and controlled by the Most High Yahweh. The spiritual demon Satan is in order and takes orders from the Most High Yahweh, who the world inwardly calls God. It says, verse 3, Psalms 10:3, for the wicked boasted of his heart's desire and blesses the covenants whom the Lord abhorreth. The wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after Yahweh. Yahweh is not in all his thoughts, right? They're completely against Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, all right? They're anti-Hamashiachs. They're against righteousness and they're for wickedness. This devil has a problem with the ordinances that has been established. All right. The sun is their enemy. The moon is their enemy. Clean air, clean water is their enemy. The animals are the enemy. They're blaming anything and everything but themselves for what's taking place on the earth. So-called global warming is because of you people. It's because of the cows. It's because of the animals. We got to do something. We got to put filtrants in the air to block out the sun, right? We got to blow up the moon. Verse 5, it says, his ways are always grievous. This is what you're seeing, man. People are angry. Even people in the government in high-level positions. It says the LDF condemns dangerous executive order expanding law enforcement powers and targeting equity. And LDF is the Legal Defense Fund. Okay? And you see what I highlighted. It says, let's read this again. It says, instead, the order uses the influence, assets, and funds of the federal government to militarize law enforcement and encourage aggressive enforcement of all crimes, no matter how minor. And this is really set against you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, right? Esau's got a magnifying glass on you. It says his ways are always grievous, thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He had said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. Yeah, he says one thing, but he's doing another. He's saying, yeah, we're going to make America great again. You know, we're going to do this. We're going to bring back the jobs. We're going to bring jobs from these other nations over to the United States. We're going to lower gas prices. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. They make all these promises, and this is a recurring event concerning these presidents, which they're just pawns, and they just take orders from these elites. You know, but you would think people would get the gist after, you know, all these years being in 2025, but they just can't get it, right? They make all these promises, but on the other hand, they're doing the complete opposite, and they have an order that they have to follow, and that order is of these wicked elites concerning their agendas. It says, verse 7, his mouth is full of cursing and deceit, and fraud under his tongue is mischief and vanity. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, in the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor, and the poor is you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. His eyes are privily set against you. He has a magnifying glass on you, okay? Now let's go over to the book of Revelation, the 12th chapter. We can close out on this, and I'll try to put the link in the description box of this article as well. This is Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. See, these wicked elites know that their time is short, you know, so they're trying to hurry up and put various different plans in play and in effect. Okay. And see, these wicked elites know exactly who you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are. Moreover, they know who they are. They know that they are the biblical Edomites. Lord willing, that was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rahak Wadash. Double honors to the head apostle, Nellis, a great millstone who rule well and teach well. Shalom to the elect.